To this day, Facebook ads are the most underpriced way to build a clothing brand. Do you want to know exactly how to run Facebook ads for a clothing brand that actually generates revenue? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to run Facebook ads for clothing brands, how to get the return on your investment, even if you're just starting out, and most importantly, how to get consistent results over and over again. And no, you do not need to be techie to follow along, but more on that a little bit later. There's a member in our OSO program based out of the Florida area who literally just started his brand and was questioning whether or not he had enough budget to make actual money online. Now, there's a lot of hype on the internet and people flashing fancy cars and stacks of cash made him and a lot of other people skeptical about whether it was actually true. It seemed
too good to be true
from that. So one thing he did do though was set his business up for success by following a proven system and pillars within the actual business. Then he bolted on Facebook ads to the principles to see success, not the other way around. See, most people just try to boost ads or run Facebook ads without knowing what actually works when they're running the ads. To get a return on your investment, you need to have the right business model in place. I was talking to a Christian streetwear brand last week and he wanted to spread the gospel to people, so he was trying to basically give away shirts for such a low margin so that more people could afford them and wear it and spread the gospel, right? Makes sense. I had to tell him that actually less people would find out about him because he would go out of business. We walked through the areas that needed to be in place for his brand to be successful, and before you jump away and wonder what the heck does that have to do with Facebook ads, I promise you everything. So without profit, you won't see the ROAS, that number that you're going after, right? The return on investment you're wanting to see. Higher ROAS comes from being able to start ads and let them run consistently. You cannot do that without actual margin. So here is a checklist of things to have in place. So 60 to 70% margins. Even if you're working on to get there, that is fine. You may even be doing print on demand right now, and that's fine. But the goal is to get that gross margin up to that 60 to 70% as quickly as possible. The second thing that you need when you're just starting out or at any point in your business is social proof. Without any social proof, it will be difficult for someone to trust you and make a purchase, right? Whether it's an article inside of Forbes or whether it's a bunch of reviews from your products, whether it's people leaving comments on the quality of your products as well, you'll need that information to add social proof and trust to get people to buy. You'll blame your ads for a lack of sales when it was actually your website or product or the perception of the trust of your brand. And the last piece here is email and SMS capture, set up collecting at minimum 5% of the visitors who are seeing your pop-up. Most are not going to buy. You will need to email, nurture this relationship over time to get them to purchase, right? They need to be able to see you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 different times. And a lot of that is gonna happen through email and SMS, and it's also the most profitable way to do that. Adding these three areas right here will add the margin you need to be profitable with ads. And honestly, beat everyone else, because I promise you, no one else is focused on the number one number that actually matters in your business, which is net profit. Not your gross margin, not your gross profit, your actual net profit. So there's a boutique out of South Texas that has a brick and mortar store and wanted to grow online as well. I think most people do, right? They want to diversify the way that they drive sales to their business. But the problem was that they could not get consistent sales to prove that their online model could actually work. Consistency looked different for them last year than it does actually today, but the path they took was pretty much the same as everyone else, and I would copy if I was you as well. So focus on just getting 1% better at creating the content while updating your messaging. They figured out their messaging first and then created content around that. They honestly leaned in more towards what they were not versus what they actually were, and this helped differentiate them from somebody else in the marketplace. So there are 250,000 boutiques in the US alone, and most of them are selling very similar, if not the exact same clothes. So how do you stand out? You do it with a message, a mission, a vision behind the brand, which sounds woo-woo or whatever, but it is the truth, and it is the foundation that I have seen for many brands that are hitting those 7 and 8 figures per year. When your messaging is clear of exactly who you are and who you serve, which is not everyone, please do not serve everyone, you cannot. You are able to create content that speaks to the exact same audience that you're talking about with your margins that I mentioned earlier, then you are ready for Facebook ads. All right, now hold up just 1 second. I just wanted to say that if you are a clothing brand owner and want to jump into the specifics of your brand and how to grow it profitably and figure out the details that I just mentioned there, and you just don't know the answers to those, let's jump on a 45-minute strategy session. You may need more hands-on help. There are limited spots, so make sure that you click the link in the description down below. I remember my first Facebook ad very well. I think like most, I found someone who was good at running them and then mimicked exactly what they did, and I had some success, but not as much as if I really wanted this. Now, this is also back in 2015. There was barely any pixel. I don't even think there really was a pixel. There was not much data, much like there is today. So kind of similar starting point for both of us here. I needed more insight and data to make the right decisions when running ads. The information I just gave you about profit and messaging is going to be your inside hack to really stand out in the marketplace and win auctions on Facebook ads to see success. And for those who do not know, yes, Facebook is constantly bidding your ad against somebody else's, and a better ad will beat yours even if you spend more money, right? There's a combination of what actually works, right? It's an estimated action rate. How likely is somebody to take action on your ad versus somebody else? You create better ads with the right margins and the right messaging, you will actually get more money. I was trying to do some kind of I think it's called alliteration there with a bunch of M's, but anyway, works out too well. The most important part here that you are probably wondering, let's get into building some actual Facebook ads step by step. If you got to this point and you skipped to this section of the video, please go watch the other parts because they are very, very important. The rest of the Facebook ad stuff, it doesn't matter if you don't have margin, if you don't have good messaging, because if you do not have those things, your ads much less likely to be successful. But for all of those who watched till this point, let's go ahead and get into the ads. Okay, so we are inside of Ads Manager right now. These are all assumed at this point, but just want to make sure that you have it set up right. Make sure that you're inside of Ads Manager. Make sure that you set up your pixel correctly. Make sure that you're at that point before we get here. Now, just to give you some ideas of how we're thinking through this. This is a live campaign that's been running, live campaigns rather, have been running for a long period of time. So there's a little bit of information here that I'm going to walk you through that's a little bit skewed because it's been running for a period of time versus you starting fresh potentially. But if I was starting brand new campaign, this is exactly how I would set it up for 2024 to be successful with your ad. So you're going to go ahead and hit create here. You're going to go for sales. I almost always want to go for sales. Now, there's a couple of times that you would not. If you do not have an idea of your creative, if it works well or not, or your messaging or anything, then maybe you could try something else. But the best way that you can do this, and I would rather you do this than to spend money on ads, is post it organically. Preferably short form content because you have a better chance of being picked up on an algorithm. So post it on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and the best pieces of content that you have, we'll put them in here. That's what we want to use. You could also run some traffic campaigns to see which has got a good click-through rate or whatever for which type of ad is working. However, it's not going to get you any sales. Please do not go and think that traffic, right, is going to get you sales. We need to hit sales to get sales. All right, so go ahead and hit sales. We're going to do a manual sales campaign. Advantage Plus does make sense, but what it does is it's learning through AI, but it goes after your audience that is already existing. Now, if you don't have an audience, then okay, probably don't want to go after this. But what it will do is it will find people like your audience who are likely to take action. So your Facebook, your Instagram, all of the places, Messenger, WhatsApp, anything that Facebook owns, it's going there, grabbing that data and say, who's most likely to purchase? And then it just floods those people with your messaging. So it is an option to test in the future, but probably not for you right now. You've got to be able to build a foundation for a campaign that can run for a long period of time. So manual sales campaign, all right? Go ahead and click continue. The naming convention, actually, I mentioned this several times, it does actually matter. So this is going to be our top of the funnel DCT. We call it Ecom Accelerator. That's the software, the process that we use, the 5 pillars of growing a clothing brand. And this is going to be a DCT. You can label it however you'd like, but that's just what we're going to use here for our end. Okay, you're going to scroll down, and one thing I want to make sure that we do is Advantage Campaign Budget. Basically, this is like the old CBO or campaign budget optimization, which means that the budget is going to be distributed across multiple different ad sets if you have those. For this example, we are likely just going to do 1 or 2 ad sets. Okay, daily budget, you can choose whatever you would like here. A $20, $30 a day budget is nice to have, eventually working yourself up to a $100 a day budget. If you go to 100 and don't get results, it likely will take you more time to figure something out because Facebook's trying to get you auctions at that $100 a day budget. So if you don't know, I would say, as much about your messaging or anything, you can do a little bit lower, maybe $30 a day, and do it for a period of time and then slowly start to ramp up. At that 100-day mark, that's where a lot of things start to happen. Most people don't compete at a $100 a day budget, and it puts you in an advantage. So $20 a day, we can start there. Like I said, I'll start it at 30 just for this example to kind of prove some things. Don't worry about budget scheduling. Facebook optimizes that for you. This would only be like, all right, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday, where you want something to end. And even then, if it's doing well, I want it to run for a long period of time. One little tidbit or piece of advice for you is when you set up this campaign, please do your best to not turn it off and then on. Leave the campaign running
Forever.
until Facebook says that you've run too many ad sets and you can't run it anymore. You can update ad sets, yes, but the campaign learns as well. So please keep the campaign running. It's a big mistake people make, turning off and on ads. Maybe that's why you're watching this video. Like, I gotta find a solution, but really the solution is that you keep messing with the dang ads. Don't do that. All right, so website and shop, probably still not going there. They're testing it out. I know Facebook's pushing it. It's something that we've tested and it worked okay. It's something that we've taken free money on and it's done okay, but still not beating out just the website side of things. So the ad set name should be the audience we're going after. So I'll label this as broad. And again, this is a DCT or dynamic creative testing, which I'll talk about here in a second. Broad is like literally wide open targeting. Now, there are times and places, and I'll probably do some more videos on this stuff in the future, but right now, most people need to be going broad because it is about testing the creative, okay? If you don't have good creative, it doesn't matter which audience you use because it's not gonna resonate with them anyway. I'd rather give Facebook the data, okay? So broad is age, gender, location. So I'm going to the website. Go ahead and scroll down here, choose the pixel. I wanna make sure that the conversions, or they call CAPI, conversions API is set up. Make sure you do that. Conversion event, I'm going for purchase. I am going to turn on dynamic creative. What does this mean? You'll see it on the ad level, but basically it's going to allow us to create variations of ads to test the creative. Okay. Now, if you already have a winning piece of creative, you already know it does well, it's been doing well for a long period of time, then you don't need to do dynamic creative. Just continue this process and just insert the ad, right? And then spend money on it. Okay. But most people run into an issue where the ad kind of like starts to get less results because they don't scale correctly, or it basically reaches the same audience. It's found all the people who are going to get the purchases potentially. And so you need to be testing more creative. As a good marketer or good advertiser, good business owner, good being the operative word here, you need to be testing creative. Dynamic creative allows you to do it on a good budget. Okay, so dynamic creative, go ahead and turn that on. I'm going to scroll down. Again, United States, not really doing too much there. Now, if you don't know your audience too well and you're not very specific and everything like that, then minimum age of 18 and then just let it run. But if you do know it, then let's do the minimum age closer to where we want, right? So this boutique in particular, most of our audience is 24 and above. Go ahead and go through the placements. I'm gonna do all placements. The only place that I really don't wanna go is like anything that's gonna be like on an app, but I'm going for purchases here, so I don't really care where it's shown. If you go for website traffic and you do apps, please don't do that because you're gonna get a bunch of traffic from app people who are trying to like close something out and then actually land on the site they don't wanna do. So this, and you can also do this, switch to original audience options, use original audience options. Okay, Advantage Plus audience is what they're pushing. Anyway, I want to do 24, 65 plus, that's fine. No exclusions, pretty much the same thing. All right, looking good here. Non-exclusions, no exclusions, no exclusions, great. The only other thing I would do potentially is if you're going for a new customer acquisition is potentially excluding the last 30 days of purchasers. That's just something that you could do if you have enough data to make it make sense to do it. All right, let's go ahead and roll here to the ad level. Okay, make sure that you are labeling this. So we're gonna do, I'm gonna call this new year sale. I would describe what the ad is, and then you can do like, I don't know, if this is like ad 1 or whatever, DCT 1, however you want to label it, that's completely fine. But my point is that just make sure that you know what this is, because as you start to build out more ads, it will get a little confusing. You have to go into every single campaign to check ads, and that is a lot of work, right? I want to make this very simple for you. Select the page. Let's do this. It will automatically select the Instagram account. Multiple advertisers, you can use that. It's recommended. Optimize creative for each person. I also have been testing that. It works okay. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and select my images. I'm just going to pull some stuff in here as well. I'm gonna do 3. Typically we wanna do like 3 pieces of creative, very similar type of creative. This graphic has worked really well, and we've tested this for a ton of times, and we've been testing against it, and it continues to win. So text on the left, outfit on the right. Same model in 2 of them, model in the other one, right? So we're no longer testing too many variations here. We're just testing like one graphic. So don't put videos and graphics or videos and images in the same one. I want to test the same type of creative. That will help with everything here. All right, do the ad preview, primary text. Let's go ahead and copy in some actual primary text here. Let me come back to this. All right, so I added in the first one. I'm gonna add a second option here. So I wanna do 2 sets of primary text. This is actually 2, I would say medium length ones. You should probably try ones that's like a 1 sentence or 2 shortened sentences, or you can do ones that are bullet point, or you can do long copy. I would be testing those. That's an option here within your primary text. Then your headlines, go ahead and let me grab some of those, right? These are headlines that have already been proven, so we just always use these ones right here, and then we'll update them and test them against other options. Website URL, description. I always tell people, and I actually found this out a little bit ago, and it makes sense, right? Which is just put in the description, actually use this description. Okay, so this description, although nobody can actually see it, you'll see here, and I'll put in the URL. They can't see the description too much, right? They're probably just a small part, but the text inside of here is like, I wouldn't say SEO friendly, but Facebook can read it, and so it will help find the right audience for them. So there we go. I don't want to make a call. I do want to do shop now. Source additional codes from the website. Codes to be highlighted. Black Friday 23. Interesting. Okay, that's new. Code must have at least 2 characters after the first letter and only contain letters, numbers, dashes, and underscores. Interesting. Okay, so something new. I don't know if we necessarily want to highlight the promo code. No? Okay, something to test. This is new. I haven't seen this yet on my side, but something to test here. Make sure your app events, if you have that, are turned on. Make sure that you have your offline events set up. That's probably going to go away with Conversion API. And then we use TripleWell, so putting the URL parameters for TripleWell so you can track it accurately. Remember, the numbers inside of Facebook are not correct. Okay, so that's just one. We technically created 3 images, and we created 3 different ads. Times 2, 6, times 2, 12. We just made 12 ads. The other thing that you may want to do, so right, this is a broad DCT. Another thing you could do is hit this quick duplicate button. It keeps everything else the same, and you could test a different audience. Now, for most of the time that you've been watching this video, if you're new, then you may not know this, but if you've been watching for a while, we say broad. I'm not saying you should not test other audiences. What I am saying is that if you cannot make broad work, I promise you it's not the audience as much as it is your creative. So go and spend the time on the creative, which is why I kind of am hesitant to tell you this even now, but I just figured I'd give you everything that I believe, which is that other things can work. Interests can work, lookalikes can work. They're just not as effective today as what they were years ago. And we know that broad can work. If broad is not working, it is likely because of the messaging, the imagery, or the website. It likely has nothing to do with the ads. This is the lowest cost that you will see from an ad, is going broad and giving Facebook as much information as possible. Even when you go in to do an interest target, right, you can choose your interest, that's fine. It's still going to give you an option of, do you want to click this button to expand reach outside of your parameters to reach more people, basically making it broad again. So we know Facebook is really wanting an audience size of like 3 to 4 million people. You really need to focus on age, gender, location, and you can test out some interest. Maybe it does well. But if it's not doing well, I promise you it's not really the interest. It has to do with your creative. So make sure that that is a big part of it. All right, so did you know that even if you nail your Facebook ads, clothing brands cannot survive without repeat customers? I say this all the time, guys. If you do not get a purchase the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th time, you are not a brand. You are just selling an actual product. So the next step is understanding how to control the retention of your brand to get people to come back and buy again and again. So make sure that you go watch this video right here next. All right, y'all, have a great rest of your day. I will see you next time, and P.S. make sure you subscribe.